in the subject heading. Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Sylvia.
Morning.
Morning, Hung. Morning, Sylvia.
Morning,
Morning,
John.
everybody.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Morning, Sandra.
Morning,
Morning.
Sandra. Any problem from the cyclone where you are, Sandra, up the coast?
Yeah, it was quite a big issue there for quite a while. I heard about 10 weeks ago. It was just on the coast, and I was almost expecting my roof to be ripped off. But however, it didn't eventuate, and fear does not pay. So anyway, it's all good now. Seems to have tightened down. There's a lot of rain, and a lot of people are suffering from the very bad wet and rain and inundation that many of them are, being subject to at the moment. So it's quite an unpleasant time for many.
A lot of opportunities to help others who are struggling around and having a lot of damage problems.
Well said, Sarah. No, well said, and compassion, if nothing else. That's true. You're right.
Yeah, Zita said in coughs that everything is fine, but yeah, very heavy rain and even there. And we've had very big seas, very rough conditions, but not much rain. So we've been very fortunate down south.
I noticed a lot of surfers have been taking advantage of it.
Morning, Zhao. Morning, Alberto. Let's see if Jan is here now as well. Hi, Alberto. Hi, Zhao.
Good morning, Sarah.
Morning. Morning. Sylvia, Alberto is in Italy and Zhao is in Vietnam. Zhao is also a keen swimmer.
Oh, okay. Very
Yes.
interesting.
So when we were with Zhao, and Hung is a keen swimmer too.
Okay.
Sylvia used to swim with us here.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of swimmers around. Okay, and Azita is another one. Let's see if Jan is here. Jan, are you here now?
Yes, สวัสดีค่ะ everyone.
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
กราบท่านอาจารย์ค่ะ
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์
Sanajan.
I heard you had a good weekend in Hadyai with lots of good Dhamma discussion, and there will be more in Cambodia this week.
Yes.
So we're fortunate to have this discussion, Zoom discussion today.
Yes.
And does anyone, I think we can start now. Does anyone have anything they'd like to bring up? Sylvia, anything that you were reflecting on after the last Zooms? Anything that is not clear? Anything you'd like to discuss further?
Really, I was quite happy with what I learned last time, and I've continued reading and listening. And I think that pretty much covers everything. But obviously still need a lot of listening and reflecting, so that it becomes more and more part of how one sort of is with it all, with this knowledge. It's sort of it takes a lot of time to kind of really become part of you and part of how you are, without trying to rush it. So just being patient and just resting in what I already know and trusting that it will become more and more. So I feel quite happy with where I am at the moment.
I think they're very wise words, Sylvia. Very wise words.
Thank you.
Like you say, in truth, no one can do anything about it. No one can speed it up. No one can change the present reality. So the patience and the confidence in what is true and just letting the understanding unfold
Yes,
and penetrate deeper and deeper into understanding the realities, which I think, as we discussed last time, what appears is not as it is. So it
yes,
has to develop deeper and deeper because the truth is so very subtle. And
yes,
that's why almost no one is interested at all, because it's
yes,
very subtle. But it is the letting go of a burden, a big burden, the more understanding there is of dharmas as anatta, not I to do anything
yes.
or make anything happen or to observe or to think or do anything at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we discussed last time how there's just one citta arising and falling away at every moment in life. So no matter whether seeing now, hearing now, thinking, it's just one citta arising and falling away. No one that sees, no one that hears, no one that thinks, never a moment in life without citta, which is always accompanied by at least 7 citta seekers. One moment of consciousness accompanied by at least 7 mental factors. At moments of seeing and hearing, only 7 citta seekers are necessary to experience the object. But at the moments of wholesome and unwholesome consciousness, the citta requires many more citta seekers. At moments of kindness or giving or understanding, many, many more citta seekers are necessary. So we begin to learn that whatever arises and falls away in life has to be citta, seeker, or rupa, nothing else at all. Ajahn, would you like to add any comments for Sylvia and everyone's benefit?
Let's not forget about this moment. Otherwise, we'll talk about other things and think about other things. But now it's time to talk about what is there right now in order to begin to understand a little more of what it is, because it has been known for years and years ago. And just the word is only that which is the reminder about what is there. There's no understanding at all until there is attention to what is there right now, one reality at a time. Otherwise, they become to be something when they are together, unknown, that each one is different from the others. And in a moment, it's not just a split of moment, but it's more than that, because who knows how many jittas, according to the teachings of the enlightened one, right now, from moment to moment, until moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking all day. That's why I begin to appreciate the truth that what is there is so real, but it's not known as it is. And no one can make it different at all. It has to be by conditions as it is. For example, right now, it seems so natural, no understanding of the nature of it. But it's a reality. It cannot be anyone, because it's that which arises just to see. So what is it? A reality which arises to experience an object, depending on what condition it to arise to see, experience that which is now seen. The moment of hearing, just the moment of hearing, is conditioned to arise just to hear, that's all. But at moment of thinking is different from seeing, hearing, smelling. That's why we learn to understand what is there naturally, gradually, to learn to understand the truth of that which is so close right now. Just begin to understand what is there. Is it close to what is there? Very close right now. Seeing is here. But at moment of whatever appears, seeing, no thought about the seeing here now, so close. Experience that. Little by little, to have confidence of the truth. Is it true? Again and again and again. As is so true, as only seeing now sees, only that. But the nature of seeing, which is conditioned to arise to see and then gone. No one at all. No one at all. But all moments in a day are someone or I all the time. So how much ignorance of life from birth to death, no understanding of what it is, just arise and falls away, no matter what appearing. It has to arise and then gone instantly, unknown. Because the succession of the arising and falling away is so very quickly. No one can imagine right now, because it seems that nothing fall away at all, and nothing arises at all. They are completely there already. Learn to understand the different moments, not by anyone's control or anyone's wish at all. It's just by condition. For example, right now, while we are talking, seeing is there. Who can stop seeing at this moment of talking? By conditions. How fast it is from moment of seeing to moment of thinking, moment of speaking. See, so many realities are there, arising and falling away by conditions, just in a moment. And how many moments now? Unknown. So ignorance is there. Each moment, no understanding of the truth of what is there. Gone. Nothing is left. Never be found again in samsara. Whatever is now appearing is just a moment only in samsara, where we're about experiences yesterday, never to return, never to come back, never to be found. See? So we just cling to that which appears, no understanding that it's gone already each moment. Unknowingly, each moment that it's gone. Now it's not hearing, which hurt just a moment ago. Never be the same. Never be the same. See, each moment gone from moment to moment. That's why to understand the truth of what is there, it has to be a little more understanding. That Buddha knew that no one can let go the idea of self just by hearing few words about the truth as it's gone. But it's gone is so true at moment of considering it. But now it's gone. Even we don't say it's gone already. That's why learn a little more when time comes to hear what is there, whether it's true or not. And this is the only way to let go the clinging with ignorance of what is there as is permanent right now. I'm sitting, what is there is still there, never gone at all. But in truth, what appears now, just in a moment, and one moment can be only one moment. So the next moment, another moment of experiencing what is there from moment to moment in life, that's all. And then gone forever. Death is there. Not I, as it's taken from the experiences anymore. So where would be that moment? Gone, never experienced what is there in this world at all. But there must be condition after death moment. It condition next moment instantly. Birth in the next life, instantly. Non-stop, as long as there are conditions for whatever arises right now. See, who can stop this moment? After previous moment, it's there by conditions, each moment. That's why learn a little more to let go ignorance and attachment to that which is gone instantly right now. Is it true? Only that. The truth is the truth. Be true to the truth. Such environment. Life is so short, who knows? Not more than 200 or 180 and so on. It doesn't matter at all because it's just the same. There must be seeing again for sure. Even it's not of this world, seeing whatever is there in this world. But it has to be seeing again. Just like a moment ago, seeing, and now seeing on and on and on, from moment to moment. Is there anyone? Is there anything? Or we take for something or someone are only different realities from moment to moment, appear and disappear. Until right understanding is strong enough, letting go what is there, idea of someone or something permanent, or in Pali it is atta. So in truth, there is no atta. Whatever is there now cannot be anything permanent at all.
Last time, Anne, you were bringing up the topic of self, of atta and the ignorance all day. And even though, like Azita just now, we shake our head, no atta, no self, but still so quickly, as soon as there's been seeing and hearing, taking what is experienced for something, for someone all day long. Is there anything else you would like to add, Anne or Azita?
It's probably a little bit off topic to what that has just been discussed, but it falls in with it because I've been reading a bit on, well, of course, the Mahanidana Sutta, but reading and how Ananda went to the Buddha and said, oh, this is easy, basically. But the Buddha said, oh, no, Ananda, don't say that. But I can sort of understand, you know, when you read through dependent origination, ignorance conditions the karmic formations. It's the action. And then I was thinking about it this morning. It's like those things that we go through with dependent origination are really basically the headlines. You know, I'm focused on headlines at the moment because of the weather patterns we're having, just big headlines in newspapers. And then there's a whole lot more information underneath. So could you say that about the dependent origination, the way we go through it? Because it does cover the 3 lifetimes, basically, past life, present life, and future lives. So, and as I read it, I think, yes, I really understand this, but hey, I don't. If Ananda was told, no, 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 I'd be thrown out of the room, probably. But I'm glad I've been able to read through it and basically just on that very intellectual level kind of understand it. So my question is, what is it about Paticca that really is so deep? Is it the conditions that are behind every little facet of it that have to be known? Question.
I think what is deep about it is directly understanding it rather than just having an intellectual appreciation of it. So the direct understanding of Paticca would involve not only the understanding of different conditioned realities, such as we talk about here, knowing, seeing as seeing, and visible object as visible object, but also knowing much more about those realities, such as the factors that condition them and the conditioning effect that they have on other factors. And this is obviously far more extensive than knowing individual conditioned realities as they are, and even as knowing their characteristics as anicca, dukkha, and anatta, because it's more about their role in the continuation of life in samsara. So I think the direct knowledge of Paticca is so much more deep and subtle than the understanding of conditioned dhammas as we discuss them here.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, and this is why Ajahn continually takes us or brings us to this very moment. In fact, the three of you do bring us to this very moment, that it seems like it's only until we know this present moment as it is that we will know these other things. I'm really convinced of that. Yeah.
And you could say, what's the benefit of reading about Paticca? Because it describes, what it's describing is so far from what we are capable of directly understanding. And yet, if we don't yet understand what is appearing now and to be known as it is, then it's reaching far beyond what we are capable of benefiting from in an ultimate sense. Thanks.
Yes, yeah, that's a good one. But it also, go on, Sarah.
I was going to say, and it is about now, right now. The ignorance, the first factor, is now. It's not just what happened in another life or what will happen in the future, but now there is the ignorance, and it is because of ignorance that akusala, unwholesome states arise, and when they're strong enough, they bring results.
Right.
Later. And so the birth of the beginning of this life is the result of karma in the past, and the unwholesome states that arise in this life as a result of that birth lead to more karma. So the cycle is here and now.
Yes.
The results, the seeing, the hearing, the unwholesomeness, the ignorance, the clinging, the aversion, which lead to various deeds which bring results. So the cycle is right now in daily life.
And really being reminded again and again of now is really most important, right? Because that's all there is, really. Right. The rest of it's just thinking about it.
The ignorance is not in the book, the seeing, the hearing, the results
Right,
of
exactly.
past karma is not in the book. It's now the unwholesome states, the wholesome state, which condition karma and bring more birth, more results. It's all daily life. It's not something in the book.
So that kilesa gamma vipaka, like
That's right. The cycle
that's
of
now, isn't
kilesa,
it? That is
karma,
now.
vipaka is now.
Yeah,
it's right now.
Right.
Yep. It's daily life.
Yeah.
And I think what is deep is the real understanding that these are dharmas that are anatta, here and now. Otherwise, we think, I will do good deeds, I will avoid stealing or lying or doing something that bring results. But each dharma arises by conditions, and that's what it's all about. So it's understanding deeply the nature of dharmas as conditioned and anatta, just as they were last life, they are now, and they will be like that in lives to come, round and round.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Let's see if Ajahn would like to add more again.
That's why we talk again and again how much ignorance and all kinds of akusala have been accumulated, and still now on and on to the future too. So now, where is and when is the ignorance? If it's not known, we don't discuss about it anymore. But since it's there right now, not understanding the truth of seeing, is that ignorant?
Yes, Ajahn, definitely.
See? So when we talk about ignorance closer and closer, it's always there after whatever appears. So how much about the past and now the present, even this moment, how much ignorance is there? Each moment of seeing, see, each moment of experiencing all the idea of I after ignorance, no understanding, it's not there anymore. But as long as it does not arise and falls away, appear so clear to be known, the idea of I is still there. The idea of something is always there. So it's beyond imagination at all. When the reality appears as it is, not as something as before. See, any moment of seeing, when it develops, it gets closer and closer to the nature of that which is seen as no one and no thing. But now, see, it's still something. That's why understanding is the best of all conditioned realities, because it can understand the truth. Even from hearing, considering, understanding that what is taken for life, just different realities arising in a moment and then gone. Just in a moment and gone. The truth is the truth, but it's always forgotten because of ignorance and attachment. That's why begin to understand the subtlety of all kinds of realities, but it can be learned little by little. Develop the understanding from hearing, considering, until it's so sharp enough, so firm enough to instantly, with awareness, it understand what is there, the real nature of a reality at a time. But it's so very little in the beginning. It's just that which is reminded that it has to be known as it is, just hardness now. No body appear, no eyes, ears, nose, tongue from head to toe appear, only hardness right there. See, little by little, before the idea of my body gone, gradually little by little, at moment of touching and understanding that which is hard, no matter what part of the body that we have taken it from forehead or leg or arms or whatever is there. All are only different dhammas appearing one at a time. Is it true? This is a subtle way to understand the truth, which is there right now. It has to begin from hearing, considering, understanding the reality as is so very subtle, because it does not appear as it is, as no one, and nothing seen now. See, is this paticca samuppada? That's
Yes,
why,
yes, Ajahn. Yes, it is.
yeah, even just one word, the beginning of Satipatthana, paticca samuppada, it has to be known clearly, all about now, each moment. How come to be this person? See, there must be condition. Without birth, can there be anyone right now? See, none at all. So, what condition birth of this life? Ignorance in the past, with attachment in the past, clinging that on and on and on and on. So, the link of life, this life is conditioned by previous life, past life, no matter how long were there in the past life, but even it's gone. But once it's there, it's in citta, accumulated, tainted by all kinds of different namas, wholesome or unwholesome. That's why there are different words for the accumulation of kusla and akusla, and just about akusla, not kusla, see, to understand a little more about each word of truth. What are they now? From years and years ago accumulated. So what is conditioned right now from the accumulation of the past? Avijja, conditioned sankhara, and kamma, conditioned vijnana. See, moment of birth, experiences from then on, what are there in this world until death? But before that, as long as there are moment of birth, what are there?
So, Ajahn, are you now talking about? You say what is there? And I
Yeah.
was also reading this morning about anusayas, at those latent tendencies, and that was going to be one of my questions. Those latent tendencies go on and on and on until enlightenment, until they're slowly eradicated. So when you say birth, those latent tendencies move on with that birth chitta, no?
No kilesa at all at birth, or even that moment of birth. It's there, but it does not arise as long as it's not time yet to arise. But it's there. That's why while one is fast asleep, no kilesa appear.
But latent tendencies are still there.
As
At
soon
each
as
moment,
Every moment. What?
at each moment, carried with the citta at each moment, even in deep sleep, at birth, at every moment. Just a very few words for Sylvia's
Oh,
benefit,
right. Okay.
because I could see her frowning. Azita is asking about the latent tendencies, which are referred to as the anusayas. These are the unwholesome states of mind which are not arising, but which are carried that's why they're called latent, with each chitta ready to condition the arising of those habits that we've mentioned before, the unwholesome states. So at a moment of kindness or understanding now, there's no anger, there's no attachment, there's no ignorance at those moments. But the tendency to anger, the tendency to ignorance, the tendency to attachment haven't been eradicated. So they are latent, dormant, carried with each chitta, ready to condition the arising of those states when it's time. And so she was asking, what about at birth? So birth is just another chitta, another moment of consciousness following the death consciousness. So those tendencies, those habits, not just the bad ones, but also the good habits, the understanding, the kindness, and so on, they are carried with each chitta, even in deep sleep, as Ajahn mentioned, even at the moment of death, even at the moment of birth. They're carried ready to condition the wholesome or unwholesome states. So while the unwholesome states, the ignorance and attachment, have not been completely eradicated, they are carried to the new life, ready to condition those unwholesome and wholesome states. So this is also the deep discussion about dependent origination, birth, death, the cycle that continues on and on because ignorance has not been eradicated. So that's why it all starts with ignorance. Because of ignorance, there is birth again and again, wholesome and unwholesome states, and those tendencies are carried ready to condition those wholesome and unwholesome moments. So another deep topic. I'm putting odd little notes in the chat of any terms that you may not be familiar with. Okay, carry on, Azita and Ajahn, please.
I just want to say something to Sylvia, and she probably knows this, and it might be the midwife coming out in me, but the birth, Sylvia, is not the birth of baby, but the very first chitta in this life, when it's just a minute dot of rupa.
The moment of conception.
The moment of conception. Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you. Okay. So where was I? Oh, so okay. So there. I was listening to a talk yesterday from way back, and it was there was some discussion on anusia and us, the latent tendencies and the cankers, the asavas. So, I understand that those latent tendencies as such aren't known until there's some condition that one of them will arise, one aspect, one, like, for example, clinging or ignorance. But how I'm a little unclear as to how the asavas or the cankers come in, because are they the obvious latent tendencies, so to speak?
They are arisen akusala, but it's at a subtle level, cannot be known, does not appear. Arisen, but
really?
not appearing. Okay. Yeah.
Arising but not appearing. But
yes.
Why not appearing? Because they're not strong enough.
Yes, they're at a subtle level, like something, the simile is given of something oozing, pus oozing, or like that. So they are arisen, but not apparent.
So basically you're saying I'm walking ball of pus oozing.
Exactly. Yes.
Great. That's
Mental
good.
pus. Mental pus. Oozing.
Okay, really good
Yeah.
description. Thank you.
So in brief, Sylvia or anyone, there are different levels of unwholesome states. There's the most subtle of all, which are the latent unwholesome states, which are not even arising, but they exist. They're carried with the citas, but not yet arising. And they can condition the very subtle unwholesome states that arise, the subtle ignorance and attachment and wrong view that can arise so quickly after seeing or hearing, but as Jonathan said, unknown, like now, after seeing this attachment instantly to what's seen, or wrong view instantly taking it for something, or just ignorance, just not knowing. So these are the very subtle habits of unwholesome states arising. And then, of course, there are the medium level of unwholesome states, which we're more familiar with, the attachment when we're eating our food and enjoying the sunrise and playing with the grandchildren, for example. So it's the attachment that is stronger and is more familiar, but it's not strong enough that it conditions deeds or acts which can bring results. If it's strong enough, then it's of a degree that it can condition stealing or lying, for example, of that degree, which can bring results in future. So different degrees, different levels. And the Buddha taught that even the latent tendency, even the very subtle asavas, which Zita was asking about, are dangerous. So not because without them, there would never be the strong attachment that causes harm to others and brings results in future. So different degrees of unwholesomeness, that's really what we're talking about.
I have one more quick question. Those asavas, because they're not known, they arrive, you said, immediately after seeing. So that's in that same process, like those jhana jittas in that process. Okay.
Can be in that
Yeah.
process, can
Yeah.
also be in the mind door, but it's the very subtle defilements that arise, which are unknown.
Mm.
And we say after seeing or hearing, just to show how quickly they come in, how quickly the ignorance is there, even right at this moment, even when discussing Dhamma. Ignorance is so common all day long, as Anne discussed last time.
I feel like I'm learning all over again. Oh, thank you.
That's why I always say begin again, because always a new moment right now.
Yes,
what about the
yes,
ignorance
yes.
right now, the
Yes.
clinging right now?
Yes, yes. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Anne, were you going to say something earlier? Because I saw your mic was...
Yes, it was off, and then yes, I've got it on now. Speaking of learning over and over again, when we were John was initially just before Sarah and Jonathan came in talking about heat. Heat, visible object, sound is taken for something because we're unaware of it. It appears, but we don't. Because of ignorance, we don't know that it appears. It's what appears subsequently in the mind door, like a song or words, are well beyond that stage is well beyond just the sound that is heard. And then I got thinking about jittas, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, the Vipaka jittas. We again are unaware of those as dhammas, although we think we are seeing. And in that case, the seeing is the something. And I'm thinking that the something is actually I, it's the atta. Because if there were understanding, direct understanding of this, for those, there wouldn't be thinking of I. There'd be more understanding of anatta. I have no idea if I'm even making myself clear. But yeah, we talk about taking the rupas for something. But again, this, as I say, the jittas, because they get, okay, seeing takes I'm seeing, my seeing. That would be sort of the equivalent of the book that I'm looking at. Am I making enough sense for anybody to say anything?
Yes, and that's why Atta Ditti is so pervasive. It's not just what is seen, what is heard that's taken for someone, for something, but the namas too, the seeing now, the hearing now, the thinking now, taken for someone, something. The
Yeah.
cat's experience, the dog's experience, my experience, something there. Yep. So Atta is not just I, it's I or something, not the understanding of Dhamma as Dhamma,
Right.
no matter whether we're talking about Chitta, Cetasika, or Rupa. Something there, something outside, something inside, belonging to me. Atta is there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That when I heard of John, it just suddenly came to me from a different angle, and I thought better check
Like
this.
with I think it came up last time, the idea I am seeing, I am noticing, I am attached. It's all Atta. Atta.
Yes, I knew it was. I
Yep.
won't go back and try to retrace my thoughts there, but thank you.
I think this also came up recently when we were talking about Ghana Sanya,
Yeah.
or perception of groups.
Mhm.
And the explanation there is that there is thinking of groups of objects. The thinking in terms of objects is an example of perception of groups. And it can be with or without wrong view. Because I think Ajahn, if I'm not mistaken, said that for the Arahat, there is still Ghana Pasanya. And that's why for the enlightened being, there's the immediate perception of objects. It's not as though the enlightened being has to translate visible object into people and things. It happens instantaneously because of the habit of thinking in that manner. But perception of groups, as I say, can be with or without wrong view. So that's another factor to keep in mind in this kind of discussion.
So would perception of groups, that I'm thinking of the
Sorry, can I correct myself?
yes.
Perception of the compactness, compactness, not groups. Perception of compactness, yes.
Okay, and the compactness is a couple things coming. Is that basically at the stage of nimitta and then moving into thinking?
I think it's before that. I think so. It's the seeing. Well, one individual jitta, which really so fast, so fast. But I see it as one jitta sees one visible object, one color.
Yeah.
However, it happens so fast that it's seen as compact. As in, what is a good example for me, because when that came up, there's a tree outside with very fine leaves on it and was blowing, and I just thought I'm seeing the compact it was a good example for me, just seeing that particular. It probably wouldn't be suitable for anybody else, but I got the compactness out
That's
of
several
the,
jitas, so that would be
I think it's lots of jitters.
lots of
Of
jitas.
seeing the visible object.
Right, so that would be the nimitta of visible object.
Well, the nimitta of visible object
Yeah, I don't
doesn't
know.
have a conventional shape or form, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So we're talking about the perception in terms of conventional objects.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So
that's.
even,
Go ahead, Jonathan, please.
no, I was going to say, even for the Arahat who has seen that there, what we take for a cup is only momentary rupas arising and falling away.
Yes.
Nevertheless, the Arahat still sees a cup as a cup.
Right.
And yeah.
Okay,
And
that's what I was trying to say initially, but that's, yes, I see that. So the compactness that we're talking about is,
from
yeah.
the habitual, the way that sensed or objects are processed by the
Yeah.
mind.
Okay, yes.
Just that, yeah. And it's
Good.
necessary, because if one didn't see things as they are, then life would be very difficult.
Yes, I understand that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. So it's the way visible objects are processed, basically, or way objects are processed.
Sensed or objects.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
And maybe Ajahn will say a few words on this in a minute when we finish this back and forth.
I'm just writing here. I think that would be time now. Ajahn, did you want to add anything to that, or?
It's time now to understand nimitta.
Yes, yes.
Just very, very tiny dot. It's a dot. Is that nimitta?
Just a very tiny dot?
Very, very tiny dot. But
Right.
it's a dot. Is it nimitta?
Not yet.
See, no matter big or small, it's nimitta, right? That's why all kinds of conditioned realities appearing, arising, and following by way of nimitta, not just one single.
What I meant, so just one is not nimitta, but more than one quickly in succession, that's nimitta?
Yeah, just a dot, very tiny dot. It's
Yeah.
already a dot.
Okay, so that's more than one.
That's why Buddha said what appears must appear by way of nimitta only.
So that's more than one moment of the
Right.
dot. That's, yeah.
Whatever.
Well,
rupa.
even if it was only one, it'd still be the nimitta that is experienced. Unless panya is so strong, but each reality, right? There is nimitta associated with each rise and fall. That's what it is.
Okay, that's what I wasn't clear. I thought it was for it to become, I thought more than one
Moment.
One visible object is required to make it the nimitta. More than one moment of arising and falling away of one little dot is required to make it nimitta, but I can see how, yes, it can be just one, can't it? But it doesn't, it wouldn't be perceived.
It wouldn't be perceived.
Right,
You're
okay.
right.
Okay.
But still, the principle is the same. The arising and falling away is so rapid.
Yes, exactly. It wouldn't be perceived. So by the time it's perceived as anything, even by panya or developing panya, it's more than one little dot.
Right. Multiple. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
And briefly, is that because it's only the chakra vinyana, the chitta that actually sees it immediately, that's gone, and then it becomes nimitta in the next chitta because they're not seeing that object. You look puzzled, Anne.
Pardon, I've got my, yeah. I think we were,
I think nimitta is relevant in the context of when something is perceived or experienced. So we know that one moment of visible object, Azita, that is experienced by idol consciousness is then experienced by the kusala or agusala jittas later in the sense thought process. But at that moment, the visible object is still arisen because it lasts for longer. Let's take the immediately following mind door process anyway. That immediately following mind door process, kusala and agusala jittas, they would experience the nimitta of the visible object because it's just fallen away.
Okay, well, I might have been mistaken because I thought it was that seeing consciousness actually sees the visible object, but the jitta to follow, like, is it sampatijana? Sampatijana. It doesn't see, but it still has the object.
Yes, the same object.
Same object, yeah. And I thought that was the nimitta.
No.
No, that's
No.
still the reality, the
The
visible
actual object.
Because it hasn't. Okay, thank you.
All those cheaters in that sense door process experience exactly the same visible objects that's still there, not fallen away. But following the idol process for Wanka and then the mind door process, same object, but actually the visible object has fallen away. So it has to be nimitta of visible object that is experienced, but to all intents and purposes, exactly the same visible object.
okay. That sheds, a different light on it. I see. So yes, so there can be the nimitta of one dot. It's never going to happen. But
it doesn't appear.
Yeah.
If it even, we can say even for the Buddha, it still is nimitta of seeing, nimitta of that visible object when it appears in the mind door, because the visible object itself, the seeing, have fallen away.
Right. So the point there is it must be fallen away. The nimitta won't appear.
Yes, so the actual reality has fallen away. So it's the nimitta of that reality, even when it's the perfect replica of the reality. We can still say it's the visible object that appears, but actually it's the nimitta of that characteristic of that visible object that appears. And now the point Ajahn was making, if there is understanding of visible object, it cannot just be the visible object that was experienced in one idol process, one dot, many visible objects before the nimitta of visible object can appear.
Okay. Before it appears, although
to be understood.
Even after the first dot, it's a nimitta, but it won't appear until there's several in succession.
Exactly. Yes. Countless moments. Yes. Because it's so fast. Yes.
Right. Thank you. It's always good to go over this, isn't it? Again.
Well, I have one more question. There's only 7 jeta seekers.
Just before you go on, sorry, it's good to go over it. It doesn't hurt, I suppose, but I'm not sure how relevant it is to experiencing
this moment,
the visible object.
Yes.
As distinct from seeing consciousness. Thanks.
Same process, but because the visible object, sorry, the seeing consciousness, it would be the same way as soon as that falls away very quickly.
Yeah, but the thing is that they have different characteristics to be known directly without knowing anything about how many jitters there are in a sensed or process or anything like that. It's
right.
If they're appearing, they can be the object of understanding and awareness. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the crucial thing, and there's a lot of background information that's might be interesting to follow, but it doesn't actually directly relate to the awareness of the reality.
It doesn't relate to that, but it's kind of helps put the picture together, the intellectual understanding. Thanks,
Sorry,
John.
Zita, please.
Oh, look, it's a bit more intellectual stuff, but just the seeing consciousness or that sense door process has just 7 jeta seekers, and the one following there's more jeta seekers, isn't there, for that object to be like thinking is in the next jitta. Yes. Look, Jonathan, don't worry. What I will do is actually go and look up some Dhamma. So don't worry about answering it. I'll let somebody else take over.
I was just thinking.
I think you're asking about so quickly, Sundara, the I-door consciousness.
Yes.
And the consciousness that follows it in the sense door process. And these different jitters are different kinds of jitters sometimes, and so yes, they have different mental factors.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll do. Thank you.
Yeah, they have additional ones. But anyway, look, I was just thinking of Sylvia. How's all this, when you were hearing all this, Sylvia, how's it for you? Is anything on your mind or anything that comes up that you'd like to ask about?
To be honest with you, that conversation was way above my understanding. So I've made a few notes to go in and do some reading and find out more about it.
I see. That's okay. I was thinking it might be a bit more, shall we say, challenging, but however, these sort of things come up, and even if you have just one question, it can be helpful. And I notice Zita is always, is asking questions, which is always helpful for clarifying things. But I think, as Jonathan sort of has alluded to earlier on, sometimes these things may not be so helpful for us to begin to develop understanding of the present moment. Tanajan is always reminding us that while some of these issues can be, we're all different, we've all got different tendencies, different accumulations, but the most important thing is attending to the reality that appears, whatever that is for each individual, and that's the most important dynamic to consider. And I like what you said earlier on about that too, when you made some of your initial comments, that how, just trying to capture now what you said, but it was something along the lines that we need to, to hear, but also to consider carefully what's been heard, because if that's not being done, it's just like words or letters on the page. They don't necessarily have to mean or be very helpful until the reality is being attended to or at any particular moment. And this is perhaps the heart of the Dhamma, or the heart of understanding what's called conditioned Dhammas. You might have heard the word paticca samuppada this morning. So it talks about, it's just a word, and it sounds very complex, but essentially it's referring to conditioned realities that are appearing. Paticca just means because of co-arising, dependent co-arising, or because of this you get that, because of that you get this, and so on and so on. So the cycle continues. But look, I'll perhaps leave it at that for the time being, but don't ever hesitate and put your hands up sometimes if it seems a bit overwhelming. People are talking about all sorts of things that may not be very perhaps helpful, perhaps, but all very different, and it's important to to look at things from what the perspective that's helpful for us, and then sometimes others can chime in and like I notice they do at times and remind us what is the most important thing, and I think that's sometimes easy to forget. Okay, thank you. I'll leave it at that for the time being.
Thank you. Thanks.
And Azita, I remember that on the list you actually asked a question about, whether nimitta and gana sanya are the same, and there was some confusion because nimitta is one thing, gana sanya is another. But let's see if Ajahn would like to add any more comments to any of the points that you brought up.
What is there now? Begin again. What is there now? In order to understand no matter nimitta or what is there now? True to the truth. What is there now?
Dhammas.
Generally, what Dhamma say, not just say Dhamma, but what kind, the correct state, the reality, the nature of that.
There is seeing now.
Okay, see now, not Panchatavara Vachana, not Sampatichana, not Santira and so on, right?
Right.
Are those moments, Panchatavara Vachana, Sampatichana, Santirana, they do not appear. So it's not just one moment of seeing now appearing at all. What is taken for seeing, many guitars are there. But the characteristic of the chief of experiencing is there. So what are there now? The seeing and that which is seen, not as something as before when we learn about the truth, which is covered up all the time. Because no citta before can be known, or the other after seeing can be known. But even the seeing, not just one, many processes, right? That's why understanding the processes of experiencing an object, even seeing right now, what is there is only seeing in that which is seen. Ignorance is there. No understanding of seeing, or the compact or whatever is there. It's there as seeing only now, at moment of seeing, but not single one moment at all. Many moments of seeing. So no matter what arises, what appear has to be by way of nimitta, not only a single one, correct, of that reality. Is this clear? No matter what are there together, what is there now is the seeing. But since there's no understanding of the seeing as just a reality, it's I and something which is seen. Kun Sarah, Kun Jonathan, Kun Ashita, Kun Anne, and so on are seen. But in truth, what is seen cannot be anyone or anything at all. In truth, no one has to be no one, because what is seen can be only what is seen, only. And the seeing cannot be anything else. Only the seeing now sees that which is seen, but ignorance is there. So it's I see, and that which is seen is something in life all the time. No understanding of the truth. That what is there appear is only the nimitta of so many realities are there, not appear as seeing. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you see? So begin to understand no matter what is there. Whatever arises can be known by way of nimitta only because the rapidity of the arising and falling away of so many things by conditions. There must be pancharavara, vachana, sampatichana, and so on, but they do not appear at all. So what appears? The nimitta of only seeing, while there are many different jittas in between. See how much ignorance, not understanding the truth. Only the enlightened one, after his enlightenment, he thought about the truth, the very subtle truth, Abhidhamma or Dhammas, so fine, so deep, so subtle, but they can be known little by little as it is. So even Nama, Rupa, Paricetadana, the seeing is just the seeing, the moment of experiencing that which is so very tiny, just that which can impinge on the eye base. So the seeing is so very short, not it cannot appear as long as the mind or process, because each sense or process must be followed by mind or process. So in the day, Dhamma does not appear as it is. Only the process of seeing what is there now can appear as different colors, different things, different shape and form, different ones, and so on. From a moment of just seeing sees. The citta which follows needs more. Even the other citta cannot see at all. Only the seeing performs the function of seeing. So the other citta needs more cetasikas to experience the object which is not directly seen, but the other citta can experience that object without seeing. So quickly after seeing, it's there. Vitakka is there. So after the 10 cittas, there must be vitakka to touch the object on for the other moment to experience it. That's why right now only seeing appears, but no one knows that it appears as just nimitta of seeing. So how much are there unknown because of ignorance? That's why paticca what is the main origination is ignorance. Right now, that object which is seen is something, but in truth, even seeing sees no understanding of seeing. How much ignorance of everything appearing in life. Otherwise, it's not I see or someone see or a doll is seen, the car is seen, and so on. The world of atta, something, no understanding of it, no understanding of it. But even the enlightened one, no matter Sotapanna, Sakatagami, Anagami, Arahata, no wrong understanding of that which is not permanent to be permanent. Because the experiencing that which hasn't been experienced as it is, only one at a time. Otherwise, it cannot be moment of clear comprehension or understanding of the nature of that as no one at all. Until, see, Vipassana begins, the first one. The first one, which is not strong enough, is weak Vipassana, because just begin to realize the truth by conditions, no doubt about anatta, no doubt about that which appears as now, no different at all. But the panya develops to understand what is heard now is there so close. It's there. Touching, hearing, thinking are there now. Is it there now, like that moment? Or just hearing about the truth and where the moment is there, so close, not far away at all. But now, no thought about it. So even it's so close, it's so far. Not moment of understanding that which is touched here, seeing here, hearing here, see, and so on. That's why learn to understand the subtlety of all kinds of Dhamma. Abhidhamma, so very subtle. That's why learn to understand that intellectual understanding is the understanding of that which is there so close right now. It's there, not far away. But there's not yet conditions enough to understand what is there, which is so close at all. Is that right?
Yes, that's
Think about many things, but hardness is just right here. Seeing is here, thinking is here. Until there are conditions to understand the very, very natural moment in life, now as it is. There is seeing, but no understanding of seeing. So see is quite at the object which is seen. But in truth, it's not that object which is seen. And even the object which is seen, is it far away or is it close to be that which impinge on the eye base, close or far?
close. Couldn't be any closer.
But no thought about it, no thought about it, just talk about it, that which is seen far away from the seeing, that which is impinged on the ibis. That's why learning to have firm confidence of the truth as pariyatti, it has to be so very careful, considering, attending to the meaning of each word, which is different, even when they are together, like Dhamma and Satya Dhamma. Satya Dhamma. What are Satya Dhamma? All kinds of citta, isn't it? All kinds of citta, all kinds of rupa, which has its different characteristic, its own natural nature, as it appear, hardness appear, almost all there. No attention to it, no thought about it, thinking about whatever is there as something touched. See, thinking about what is there as something touched, but in truth, not something touched. Only the reality which is hard can be touched. But
Just one moment, Jan. Also, Mom Betty has been had her wishing to say something for quite a long time. Betty, would you like to just add your point to your
Thank you,
question?
Ajahn. Thank you.
Yes. Actually, John, and a question arose during the discussion about nimitta, and actually, John actually answered the question by saying, whatever there is can only be known by way of nimitta. That is, another way of saying that is that there cannot be understanding of anything without nimitta and the mind door process. And that cleared up a lot of questions for me. I want to thank John very profusely for answering that question. When we talk about understanding, we're thinking of understanding reality in a sense door process, but actually there cannot be an understanding of the reality without the mind door process. Anyone care to comment?
Yes, it's a good point, Betty. As Ajahn has been stressing, the understanding of visible object is not the understanding of visible object in the sense door process or one visible object, but there have to be countless experiencings of visible object before the nimitta, the sign of the visible object, appears and can be understood. Now, we're not talking about the Buddha's understanding, which can arise in sense door process of one reality. We're talking about now. What appears, the seeing now, is not one seeing, but it's the nimitta of many, many seeings which have arisen and fallen away in countless processes. And that has to be through the mind door. Because when seeing arises and falls away in a sense door process, even for the Buddha, there cannot be understanding at that moment. So it's always nimitta, yes, always nimitta, and always nimitta in the mind.
You just mentioned that the Buddha would understand in the sense door process itself. So that's
visible object. There can be the object of understanding in sense or mind door. And when we're talking about vipassana jnana, clear understanding, there can be many many moments of rapid understanding. Has to be of object in the mind door, but can also be in the sense door. But we're talking about now the understanding, even the direct understanding. It's always the nimitta of the reality in the mind door process, and many, many objects. Before that, it can be the nimitta of that reality.
Of course. Thank you.
Good. Glad to know you're here, Betty. Sorry to interrupt you, Ajahn, but I knew Betty had been waiting to speak for some time. Please continue.
How many people are there now? Now, see, even it's now. How many people are there? And not just only how many people are there, how many things are there too?
It seems like a whole lot when you're looking, it looks like a whole lot of things.
Just close one's eyes. No one and nothing at all. As soon as the eyes opened, people and things are there instantly.
Yes.
Many processes, minder and sensor, minder and sensor. So can just one citta be known?
Oh, no.
Impossible. That's the word of the Buddha. Even he had great understanding, but so great that what he said must be as it is. No matter the past, the present, or the future, but the great understanding of each reality, but not each in the same process at all, because he thought about what is experienced in a process, sense thought, and it passed on, or the mind process just got that instantly by condition. And now the sense thought and mind arises from moment to moment, not at the same moment at all. So how many processes of many people and many things around still appear as many people and things around? That's why I consider the deep truth can just only one reality arises, experienced as it is, not by way of nimitta, impossible, by way of processes. It has to be what are there now appearing, must be all by nimitta of each different one. After seeing gone, sampatichana is there. So can anyone experience the truth of seeing which is gone? Because sampatichana is there. That's why Buddha
It's
talked about.
also very, very fast at times. So fast.
But the word what appears by way of nimitta is so true. Nimitta of even just a tiny dot, but it's still dot. It's still tiny dot, see? Something, nimitta. But now, uncountable dots. Otherwise, what are they now cannot be seen as different things. See, how many moments? That's why no matter what, the way it appears has to be by way of processes. From sense door to mind door, unknown now. What is door, sense door, and what is mind door? Because they experience the same object, but only the seeing sees. So, what is there now? See, is the seeing, not only one moment of seeing. So, no matter what appears by way of nimitta, whatever arises can appear by way of nimitta. That's why what cannot be nimitta, what cannot be taken by way of nimitta at all, only nibbana. That which does not arise, doesn't have nimitta, but what arises must be experienced or known by nimitta. No doubt about each one. When there is the sampatichana, when there is satipatthana and sampachanya, understand what we are saying now. Just one characteristic. Seeing is seeing, not that which is seen. Because what appears, seeing and that which is seen. No other rupa, no other nama, not sampatichana and so on. So in life, just born to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to touch, and to think about that which has been experienced. That's all. And fall asleep, the rest of experiencing different objects. And then again, just wake up to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to touch, to think, and all gone. All nimittas gone. Is that right? Now seeing is there to be known that it's a reality which sees. What about the other citta and cetasika? Even they are there, not they do not appear. So the citta can experience no matter what object through six way. Seeing cannot see anger, attachment, or anything at all. See, but even so, there are so many realities. No matter what appears, appear by way of nimitta, even feeling or memory or anger or attachment, not just only one single moment at all. So understand what is meant by nimitta to realize that just live in the world of nimitta, the world of atta, opposite of what Buddha had realized, the world of anatta, no one there at all. So as long as what is seen is taken for a doll, a curtain, or shoes, or whatever, a cup, It's the nimitta of something, but there must be, before that, the nimitta of that which is seen to make up different colors as different shape and form, short or long. See, taken for this and that. This is very small shoe, and that is very big shoe. See, nimitta. We live in the world of nimitta. Is that right? No matter when there is right understanding at the degree of enlightenment, it's the world of nimitta, but it is known as what condition nimitta? And nimitta of what? Now we are talking about nimitta of seeing, but not direct experience the seeing yet. But at moment when one reality appear as seeing, many moments of seeing, not only just one. What can be realized has to be exactly the same as is now appearing, but panya only, which can penetrate the truth gradually to understand only one reality at a time, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting in a day. But the reality appear just like now. But right understanding is strong, keen, and sharp enough to get through deeper and deeper to the nature of one reality which appears as by way of nimitta. We live in light or darkness of ignorance. Without the word of the enlightened one, who knows about avijja, conditioned sankhara? See, the summary of no matter each moment in life, avijja, conditioned sankhara, not understanding the seeing right now as it is, that which is seen as it conditions sankhara, attachment, and other kinds of reality. Strong enough to commit the deeds, ill deeds, or wholesome deeds, depending on conditions. As it is the cause, it will produce result when time comes, when it's ready to condition birth moment. After death, there must be birth. Because of avijja and sankhara, now comes from the past. So now it's a past for the future to be on and on and on. So understand each word carefully. Nimitta is the nimitta of one reality, seeing many moments enough to be known as it sees now. Because it sees so many different things around. So what about just single one seeing? Impossible to appear. That's why the word of the Buddha, whatever arises appear by way of nimitta. Begin to understand what is meant by nimitta. Even seeing now, the nimitta of seeing means the nimitta of many moments of seeing enough to be known that that is seeing right now. Is it true? Satya Bhattam.
John, that was so wonderful. Thank you so much. I hate it when the sessions finish.
We can continue next weekend. Yes.
Ajahn,
Can
thank you.
I start with
Dr.
my question next week when we meet
Yes.
on
The
Saturday?
beginning of the discussion is the best time to bring up topics. Yes.
All
So
right.
start next week,
We
Betty,
can
please
on
do.
Saturday or
Yes.
Monday.
Yes. I'll make a note. Number one. Okay.